Welcome to the SwimSwam podcast. I'm your host, Coleman Hodges. Joining me today, we've got a very special guest. He's an SEC champion. He's a member of the Mizzou Tigers. We've got Danny Kovac today. Danny, how's it going, man?
I'm pretty good. Thank you for having me.
Just had your midseason invite. It's obviously been a wonky season for everyone, but tell me about coming into that invite, how you were feeling and how you felt about the results.
Yeah, going in the invite, we weren't really sure what was going to happen because we had our COVID testing right before the meet, and obviously there's always uncertainty there. But we were really excited nonetheless, and we ended up resting a little bit more than what we would normally do for our invite, just a few more days because of the uncertainty of the season. That could have been our only resting meet. So we were all really excited though. It's been a long time since we've got a race, and it's been a long time since we've had a prelims finals where you shave and suit up. Put on new suits. So super excited. Overall, I think the meet was a success. There were definitely some ups and downs, and it left me really hungry. Left me really hungry for the rest of the season and to get back into training. And I thought the team did great. We got what we needed to get done in the relays. We had a few ups and downs there, but we ended up getting our A cut and B cuts, got that done. And we had some people really pop off, which is super exciting. I know my weights partner, Ben Patton, he had a stellar 100 breaststroke, which was so cool. This season, it's so fun to watch him just get stronger and better, because I'm there with him every day in the weight room, and he is just taking tremendous jumps in that aspect and in the pool, and we had some freshmen step up. We have freshman Daniel Wilson, really had a great meet. I mean, I could sit here and talk about every single person on the team, but it was super fun. It was a good atmosphere. It was a little interesting because normally an invite meet, you have quite a few teams there, and it was Arkansas and Kentucky, and Arkansas only has a women's team. So it was kind of like a championship dual meet kind of thing. But I think it took us a little bit to get into it. But once we got into it, we developed a good energy, and it was good. It was fun. So,
yeah.
I
remember I was coaching in Missouri when Ben Patton was in high school and in Kansas. And I remember he was this string bean kid, right? He was super skinny. He was this big around. And I think he was more of a backstroker in high school. I know he had a really good IM. And so I remember he had a good season last season. I was like, oh, that's cool. it's good to see him develop. And then, yeah, he goes 51 in the 100 breasts. And it's like, whoa, okay. Nice. Yeah. So that's really cool to see. You mentioned ups and downs in the invite. Let's delve into that a little bit. I mean, again, from the outside looking in, it's easy to just kind of skim the times and be like, all right, it seems like Mizzou's, it seems like they did well. What were the ups and the downs for you throughout that weekend?
Definitely the first finals session, Thursday night. That was kind of a down for me. I had really high hopes going into the meet for the 2 IM. Super excited to swim the 2 IM. I've had my best kind of training block at Mizzou prior to the invite, so I was really looking forward to that, and just didn't happen that night. And then I was on the relay, and my splits were a little off, and then I was on the medley relay at the end, and didn't quite feel like I was there for my team in the way that I could have been. And so it would have been really easy to just like pout about it and like go home and get really upset about it. But I talked with the coaches and they were like, just go swim it out and like you're on to the next one. Like every event, once you're done, you're on to the next one. You're preparing for your next event. And so I just cooled down and then was like, okay, I got tomorrow. And like, it's important to remember that a meet isn't just one swim. It's a marathon. You got a bunch of swims. So I just told myself, like, let's just bring it tomorrow, be there for the team. I also think the energy for the whole team was a little bit low that first day. It was kind of weird. Like people were trying to figure it out because, COVID, you like warming up. We can't have like more than one person on the wall, so you got to like figure out your warm up and you got to figure out how to cool down. And then everyone has their masks on and you got to be like more conscientious of social distancing. So that I think that kind of took people a little bit of time to figure out, even though we had 2 dual meets prior. But I think the next day we brought the energy. We had some like good music going in the locker room. I mean, we couldn't spend that much time in the locker room, but we still had some good music going, and we had a little bit more energy. People were a little bit more on their feet, and I reflected that night. I have a notebook. I journal a lot, and I like wrote in my journal that I need to like bring a little more energy, because when you invest your energy into your teammates, like you also get some of that back, So I just told myself, like, try to be there for the team, cheer a little bit more. I could have been on my feet a little more, like on the side of the pool. So I just tried to do that. And then that wound up helping out a lot, and it brought the team atmosphere up. And yeah, so.
Nice. And it's, yeah, again, from the outside looking in, it seems like there were some solid results. And like you said, left you hungry for more moving forward, which is always exciting moving into the rest of the season. Even hopefully we have a rest of the season, but yeah. So that's what's happening right now. It's what happened, a couple weeks ago. Take me through your last 6-7 months of just, we saw the lockdown hit mid-March. Obviously we had NCAA's canceled. For you personally, what did that look like from basically March until you got back to campus?
So I went home back to Colorado for, I think, like a month and a half. And, it was definitely weird, because I mean, probably no one in this sport has had a break that long in like their entire career, So, it was interesting, but I really love like doing things outside of the pool. And so it was just a great opportunity for me to tap into some of those things that I really enjoy. Like I went home, I went hiking a lot, got a 14er in, which was awesome.
Nice.
And yeah, especially right before the forest fires, because
yeah.
So I'm glad I got it in there before those. But I went hiking. I went for a super long like bike ride, did my first century ride through the mountains. So that was super, super fun. Just like found ways to stay in shape and work out outside of the pool. And I think that's good, because it challenges you in other ways, and you learn about yourself that maybe you didn't know just from swimming. And it was definitely hard though. I'm a very like, I need a routine as a person. I need like a routine in my day, and it needs to be consistent. And that lack of consistency was probably my biggest struggle. I didn't have like people pushing me to like get up early in the morning and go to morning practice, so that was also a very big struggle, and just like trying to get on a schedule that was consistent. So that was pretty hard. I don't think I really got on a consistent schedule throughout my time at home, but we there's like a little like local gym, like Swim Labs thing, that one of our family friends runs, and they let us in there, and we got some good workouts in, and we were even able to swim in the endless pool. So that was good. So I wasn't out of the water for too long, but yeah.
century ride for our listeners
Hmm.
who aren't familiar. It's a 100-mile bike ride,
Hmm.
uh, which to me just seems like insanity, but people do it. And you did it through the mountains.
Yeah, it was 131 miles with 9,000 feet of elevation. So it was
Oh
pretty.
my God.
Yeah, it was a pretty good one. It was fun. It was definitely a challenge.
So that's not even a century. That's 1 1/3 centuries. Um, so yeah, I'd like to hit on that because it's a long time on the bike. But again, like you said, more importantly than physically almost is the mental aspect of that, of just
Hmm.
learning about yourself. And like, that takes all day, I'm assuming. And um had you been a pretty big cyclist before that? Did you have to work up to that, or did you just hop on one day and it's like, all right, let's go for it?
Well, in eighth grade, I did triathlons, but
Okay.
those were just sprint. And so the longest ride I had done prior was like 50 miles. And I used to, my dad was a huge cyclist. He actually raced. And um, so I would like ride with him sometimes, in middle school, whatever. And then in high school, swimming kind of like took most of my time up.
Hmm.
And so I had a lot of spare time, and I was looking at like routes, and I wanted to do like 112 miles because that's like a piece of an Ironman, you know.
Hmm.
I did a marathon my freshman year of college, just one random day, and so I was like, I want to like crank out the bike ride part.
Just one
So
random day, you ran
yeah,
26 miles.
yeah, it was after NCAA's freshman year. So
Did you have did had you like ramped up to that at all, running wise, or
no,
just
no, the most I had ran prior was 5 miles. So I just bought a Gatorade at the gas station and just hit the MKT trail, and just ran 13.1 out and ran 13.1 back. So
wow. Okay. That's that might be the most badass thing I've heard on our podcast.
the time was not very good. Um, but it was definitely an experience. Got some fun stories from that. So
Wait, okay.
yeah, and
I'm
then
I'm all in on this marathon. What you had some fun stories from it. What please indulge me.
yeah,
Please share
so
them.
it's probably not very smart, and I probably shouldn't be saying this, but I was like holding the Gatorade bottle. I actually have it over there. It's like on my little shelf above my bed. And so I was running, and I assume like the MKT trail, like it's public trail, lots of people use it. It like spans across the whole state.
Mm-hmm.
It's gorgeous, absolutely beautiful. And I ran it in early April,
Ooh.
and I figured, well, I started, so that morning we like volunteered at the Special Olympics, which was awesome. And then I was like, you know what? I think today I'm gonna just go run a marathon, like just go jog it out. My plan was to like map it on Strava and then like send my mom a screenshot and say that I just jogged, went for an afternoon jog. Um, but I just bought a Gatorade and just hit the trail. And I thought like, there would be parks with like along the way that I could just like fill up my water with, and I had like some granola bars in my pocket. And so I hit mile 5, and there was a water fountain, but I still had like half a bottle of water left. And I was like, oh, I'm fine. I'll just like run to the next station. There, there wasn't, there wasn't another watering station until that same one on the way back. So um, I had to I basically ran, let's, 17 miles without like really any water. So that was pretty wild, and saw lots of like turtles. I met a lot of people along the way. It was pretty fun, but that was probably the biggest thing is there wasn't like any water fountains, and I should have been smarter. I should have mapped it out. Instead, I just went for it, and so it was fun though. It was really hard, really
Yeah.
hard. But
Uh, what did so? I mean, I've ran one marathon. Also, I had
mhm,
to train for 6 months prior to it to even be able to be like, okay, I think I can do this. But there's a lot of thoughts that go through your head because
mhm,
it takes hours, right?
mhm,
Um, I mean, do you remember? Was there a certain time? I remember for me, my goal was to go 10-minute miles. So I wanted to go at 4:20, 4 hours and 20 minutes. And I remember
mhm.
at hour 40, I started crying because I was like, okay, like I'm gonna finish this. Like I was on pace and I'm gonna do it. And that like realization of like, oh, whoa, like it's gonna happen. It was really emotional. Was there a moment for you that really hit you for one reason or another during that?
Probably mile 18.
Okay.
That was like the tipping point. That's where like really like I really had to dig deep. Because prior I was running, and just like enjoying like being out in nature, on the nature trail, and it was gorgeous. Everything was green, the streams were running, and I just loved it. And then like mile 18, like reality hit. And I was like,
Yeah.
and my body just like shut down. And I was like, well, I'm at mile 18. I have 8.2 miles left. Like, there's no way I'm stopping now. And by that point, I had no water, like absolutely none. My water bottle was dry. And so that was probably the hardest. Mile 18 to the start of mile 19 was the most difficult part of that run. But I just told myself, like, you just got to take it one step at a time, one stride at a time. And I think that's what got me through it. And that kind of like developed a new perspective for me in like, um, I have to take things just like one day at a time, and like when things get really hard, I kind of just like go into this mindset of just like one at a time, like just focus on the next task at hand in front of you. And because if you don't, like, you're gonna get overwhelmed. You're at mile 18, your body's shutting down. You've never ran a marathon before. You're kind of stupid for just going out there. And if you think about it, like, oh my gosh, I have 8 miles left, 8 miles, like you're gonna get overwhelmed, you know, and you're probably not gonna finish or accomplish your goals. And so I just kind of switched it to literally one stride at a time. And you just keep going left, right, and it gets you there. So that kind of like opened a new door in a sense for that one day at a time perspective for me. And also kind of more like um, also opened the door to like the theme of like living in the now, like being where your feet are and how important it is to be in the present. So that's something I've really like struggled with for a long time. And that was kind of like an eye-opening experience that like, wow, I need to really work on this, and it's somewhere I can improve my life. So, yeah,
Is
mile 18.
that was it. I mean, and if anyone, I, that's a great thing that I think running teaches you that may in a different way than swimming, right? It's all about, okay, one stroke at a time. But yeah,
Mhm.
I think that's a great point. When you're running for a long time, it's so easy to get overwhelmed, especially coming from swimming. Swimming, it's like, okay, I have a minute left. Running, it's like I have 6 miles left or 8 miles, and it's like you said, one left, right, one stride at a time. Was there was there a time or a specific instance, a period, like you said, that not being able to stay in the present moment, really getting caught up in what's to come, had affected you?
I mean, definitely, it's kind of something I deal with every day.
Mhm.
Like I'll like try to look at what other people are doing, and then I worry about it. Like, oh, am I doing this right? Like, is this okay? And I just got to like remind myself, like, you do you and I'll do me. Like, I'm not so and so, I'm Danny, and I need to just like work on the things I can control, you know. And that's really hard for me, is trying to like take control over things that I can't. And so really it's just a day-to-day thing. I just have to remind myself, like, just live in the now, like focus on the things you can control, Danny, like take it one thing at a time. um and I've definitely noticed it with swimming, you know, like leading into big meets or something. I'll or like even during invite actually is a good example, like people posting up just like really good times, like super happy for them, you know. And like that's really easy to get into your head, you know, like, oh my gosh, like Shane Casas just like threw down in the 200 IM and went 139, you know, like super happy
Yeah.
for him, like that's
Yeah.
awesome. um but it's really easy to get stuck up in that and then like compare it to yourself, you know. And like I think that was a pretty that was that's something I've had to work on. And obviously it's a lot easier said than done to um, like just say, oh yeah, like I'm just gonna worry about myself. Like that's like everyone who's like who thinks that is not telling the full truth, you know. Like doubt definitely seeps in there, but it's just something to work on every day, you know. I'm not perfect, and but it's a good reminder to just live in the now, you know. So
Absolutely. It's, you know, it brings me in mind of meditation, or just, you know, a sitting practice, which like I try to do each morning, you know, just sit for 10 minutes and breathe, right? And
yeah,
that's that practicing telling your mind, hey, it's okay to be right here right now. It's really hard. If you've ever
it's
if anyone listening, you ever tried to sit and just breathe with your eyes closed for 10 minutes, some mornings I can't do it. I literally can't. My mind can't sit still, and it's a really humbling process experience, and also process just going through that, like you said, day to day, and trying to stay where you're at. Which brings us back. I got totally off track. Our century ride.
oh
we
yeah,
we we
yeah.
talked through our marathon. I want to get back to this century ride. So the furthest you'd ever ridden was 50 miles, and you were mapping routes, and you wanted to do this. So take me there.
Yeah, so it was kind of like the day before, actually a couple days before. I was just like, oh, like Wednesday seems like it's gonna have like nice weather. I guess I'll just do it on Wednesday. I think this was like Monday night. And I don't really have a very nice road bike because I don't really ride that much anymore. And I guess I never really have that much. So I just like texted my dad. He lives like across town. And I was like, hey, can I borrow your bike? And he was like, yeah, of course. Like, come over and map out the route. Like, that's awesome. And so I just went over, and my stepdad also rides. He's kind of more into mountain biking, and my dad's kind of more of like a roadie. Um, but yeah, I found a route on Strava, and there's actually a ride called the Triple Bypass in Colorado. And so it's like 130 miles, and it's over 3 mountain passes. And I always talk to my stepdad about it, and I really wanted to do it. So I found a triple bypass training loop that was about like the equivalent in like elevation gain and about the same distance. So I was like, I'm just gonna do that. Like that's fairly close to the triple bypass. And you know, like triple bypass, you have to sign up. I don't even know if it was happening this year because of COVID, and
Oh, okay.
I probably wouldn't have even been in Colorado. So I was like, I'm just gonna do that one. And so I just like threw it in Strava and just went for it. I woke up early in the morning. I was on my dad's bike and um, just hit the road and had fun with it. And I don't really listen to music when I like go for long rides or runs. So it was just kind of like my breath in the open air. And it was awesome. Just like being high up in the mountains, like with the cool, crisp air. Like it was just incredible. and I rode by my favorite mountain. I actually rode by Long's Peak through Estes Park, and later during that quarantine or whatever, when we were home, I actually hiked Longs. So it was kind of fun because like on top of the mountain, I could like see where I rode, like some of my route. So yeah, it was pretty cool. I saw a couple moose, met some really cool people along the way, and yeah, it was exciting. Definitely an adventure.
Is Long's Peak the favorite mountain you were referencing?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Nice. That's okay. So first of all, just how long did that ride end up taking you total?
It took me quite a while. It was like 11 hours and something minutes total time, and then a little under 10 hours of saddle time. Saddle time meaning like riding time. So
yeah. Okay. So yeah, that's pretty much an all day excursion.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it definitely took all day.
And again, same question. Was there a point? What was and not even like, oh, what was the breaking point, or what was just, were there points throughout that ride of significance, or where you kind of maybe had an emotional epiphany, or just you were really able to take it in for a minute?
Definitely. I very vividly remember coming over like the top of my main climb, and I was just dying, like could not, like barely moving at all. And I was like, this is it. Like I cannot go further. Like I'm gonna get off my bike and just like walk up the hill, and like I was like breaking down, probably way worse than my marathon actually. Like I was like, that didn't even compare. And I was just so broken, and I was just like trying to think like, oh, like one pedal at a time, and even that was just so hard. And I like got to the top of the climb and just like got off my bike and just like stood there and was a little shaky and just like totally broken. And I don't know, it was like such like an intense, like surreal moment, and I was just standing there like in the mountains, like my favorite place in the world, and just there alone, like struggling. And it was just like, it was just a great time just to be like with myself and just like reflect, and it was good. It was a really good ride. I would say I'm an extrovert, but I need a lot of introverted time. And so it was great to just like be out there, especially with like everything that had happened that year, with COVID and like NCAA's getting like shut down, and then going home and it just being such a weird time, inconsistent, not on a schedule. I mean, it was hard. Like it was hard. Life was pretty challenging. So it was just like that point where like everything just came together, and I was just like there. And it was pretty incredible. It was a pretty surreal experience. So yeah, and then I was also just really excited because I got to go downhill after that, the pedal.
Gotta love the
So
downhill. Nice. Yeah. I mean, you were talking about consistent schedule, and I was just thinking back. I remember when during that, those first few months where it's like I'd wake up on a Monday and be like, all right, this is the week where I'm gonna get my schedule down, and by Thursday it's like, nope, I'm getting up at 10. And
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
not having that routine, not having that consistency, whether it's through swimming, school, work, socializing, like that, even that puts you in a
Mhm.
routine, or that sets your schedule, and it really messes with you mentally and emotionally, especially if you're used to having that really regimented time each day. And so yeah, I mean, that sounds like a cool ride, and it sounds like a really good mental reset for sure.
Mhm.
um so I gotta ask, after the I wanted to ask this earlier. So after the marathon, how did your teammates react when you told them that you had decided to run a marathon that day?
I told a couple of them before,
Okay.
just so they like knew where I was. And I told my buddy Dane and my buddy Kyle, and they were like, "Yeah, okay, like have fun."
Have
They're like, "We'll
fun.
see tonight." and and then when I got back, my twin sister CJ, she also swims for Mizzou, and she was pissed because I didn't tell her. I didn't tell her prior. She like came up to me and like gave me a hug, and she was like, "What the heck? Like, you just ran a marathon and you didn't even tell me?" And I was like, "Yeah, I don't know." But and then everyone was just like, "Why? Like, why did you do that?" People were just like, "Seriously?" Our I walked into weights because we had like a little bit of time off, after NCAA's, and walked into weights for our first weight session, and our athletic trainer was livid. He was not happy with me because like you run that far and you'd never have done it, like it kind of messes up your legs a little bit, and so he was not pleased with me. But I don't know. I mean, it was fun. It was something to cross off the bucket list. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And were there, and same question about the Century ride. Obviously you weren't around your teammates, but I'm guessing,
Mhm.
they found out one way or the other.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they were as surprised. I think everyone was just, "Hey, that's kind of cool, man." And then I don't know. I kind of did it just like for myself, like I didn't need other people to like reassure me or anything. Like it was just something I wanted to do. And so yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I only shared it with like a few people, and then obviously people found out, but kind of just like kept it to myself and my family. And yeah.
And I obviously, you've got the fact that you already did a marathon casually, so I'm sure your teammates are like, oh yeah, it's just Danny doing Danny things. And but also, I talked to Kieran Smith earlier
Yeah.
and into COVID, and he had talked about doing long rides with his dad, and you talk to everyone in there. It's like, well, I'm an elite athlete and I can't swim, so I have to push it in other extreme
Do
realms. And
something.
so
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm
and
definitely
so
one of those people where, oh, sorry, go ahead.
you no, you're good. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, I'm definitely one of those people where like I have to be doing something active. Otherwise I'll lose my mind. So
And so
yeah.
that I know you had talked about having a good swim and non-swim balance, and you had said you had really enjoyed the time out of the pool, getting to explore other avenues. How good for you do you think it was to have that time out of the water mentally?
I think it was good. It gave me a lot more time to reflect that I never really expected I would have, you know. It was definitely hard. It was a great reset, because sometimes it's swimming's hard, and it can be draining. And so it was a really good reset to just get back. I was like so excited to come back and just swim. All I wanted to do was just like get broken down and just swim and swim and swim. So that was pretty cool. And yeah, it gave me a lot of time, and I was at home with my family, which I love, and my dogs. They're getting old, so time's limited there, and so I got to spend a lot of time with them. And it was good. It was good. I mean, and it always just comes down to perspective. Like you can sit down and like think like, oh my gosh, like we're not swimming right now, like it's so uncertain, like what's going to happen, and you can just like sit down and like mope about it, or you can think about it as like an opportunity to grow in other aspects of your life, that maybe you haven't had a lot of time to do so when you're a student athlete and you're practicing all the time, then you have homework, and then you're like trying to like maybe have a social life too, so it was really good to just have to sit back and be able to think about those things. And just came down to how, like, your perspective about it. I took it as it is what it is. Like, I can't go back. Like, NCAA's, we didn't have it, and that's that. But it's time to move forward. And I got to listen to a few audiobooks, which I love, and learned a lot through those. And yeah, so it was good. It was a good time.
Yeah. Now you are back to swimming. You've I'm guessing you've gotten your butt kicked in the pool. Are you still finding that balance outside of the pool of you're still swimming, and you get to do it a lot now, but you're still doing activities outside of the pool, or what's the emphasis for you when you're not swimming?
Oh, I'm for sure doing activities outside of the pool. One of the boys on our team, Dane, he's from Columbia. I'm sure
I coached Dane.
Yeah.
Dane's great.
Yeah. So he has a 200-acre farm, and so him and I go out, and we spent all like COVID when I was in Missouri and like the summer just farming. We were just making food plots, and it was best, and like clearing out the woods. Because we both bow hunt whitetail. So I'm just spending a lot of time recently, pretty much all my free time, just sitting in a tree, just in the woods, just by myself with my bow. And so I spent a lot of time hunting, and just out there in the woods, in nature. It's like my favorite place to be, and that's another great time to just sit there and just like reflect and just think, because you're sitting in a tree for like hours, just, and you can't really move, because you might spook something. So you're just sitting still, just observing the woods. And so spent a lot of time hunting, spent a lot of time just like hanging out with my housemates, and we just like do like random shenanigans all the time, and it's super fun. We keep it light, so definitely still have a very I have a very high priority on keeping a balance outside of the pool, even when I'm just super busy with school and swimming. So yeah.
Did that take you time to develop? Was there a point when swimming was the forefront, and that was what you were focused on, and you didn't really have periphery things in your life? Or have you always had this balance, or did you have to work at it?
I think my family's pretty unique. I don't know, maybe we're not unique, in the sense that swimming has yeah, in the sense that swimming has never like dominated our lives. Like we love it, and we take it seriously, and it's like definitely an integral part of our life. But it's not really like the only thing, like we'll come home, like in high school or middle school, we would come home, and our parents would ask us how practice was, and we'd be like, practice was so hard. Like, we'd be like, well, did you do well? And it's like, yeah, I did my best, and then like we move forward, like we don't like sit around the dinner table and talk about like times that we went like in practice, and so I think that kind of just like set me up going into college, like living on my own. Like I'm still trying my best to be the same way, like I need swimming to like be something at the pool, and then I like to come home and I like to talk about my day or talk about something else, like, and my roommates know that, like, we don't like spend a lot of time talking about like how we did in practice, or whatever. Like, I watched actually one of these SwimSwam podcasts with Caleb Dressel, and he talks about his practice logs and how he's like kind of like my idol, and I just admire how he keeps that balance too, from what I understand, where like, like he goes to practice and then he logs it, and then he like gets it out on the paper, And then he's like, he closes it, and that's like closing swimming for the day. Like he did his practice, he logged it, he reflected on it, and now it's like time to like do something else. And so I really, really admire that, and I strive towards like having that really, really good balance. But yeah, I mean, like my mom doesn't really have the slightest clue of like times they're swimming, and like we could have like a really bad swim and she'll be like, "Oh my God, you look so good. Like that was great." And it's like, yeah, I don't know about that. Thanks, Mom. And like my dad is just like, "Saw you on Meet Mobile. You look like you did good." My stepdad will just like send a text. And so, I think we're pretty good about that in our family, and just like having a balance and keeping it fun, like swimming is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be like something you enjoy, and like I've met like some of my best friends through the sport, and the memories I have are not all like just about swimming with those people, like a lot of them are outside of the pool, so yeah, I don't know. Obviously, it's still something you have to work on every day. I mean, swimming. I'm like, I feel like I'm kind of playing down swimming, like it's not a big deal. Like it's still a huge deal in my life. I try to work on that balance. So yeah,
That, first of all, best kind of swim parent.
yeah, yeah,
They don't know your times, but they'll say good job regardless. And then
yeah,
and then they talk about something else. And
yeah.
if any swim parents are listening, take a tip from the Kovacs. But to one of your other points, certainly personally, one of the biggest thing I have learned from just getting to talk to athletes like Caleb Dressel, Simone Manuel, Katie Ledecky, it's like they are so good at towing that line of, all right, this is swimming, this is non-swimming, and like that's that. It's like we're separating them, and they have that sense of groundedness to be able to separate them. And it's fascinating to watch how mentally on it they are. And like, especially like you said, Dressel, he's very vocal about the fact that he works on that so much. And I
Hmm.
think that's really one of the things that sets someone like him apart. But I digress. The one of the last things I'd like to talk about is your family, because your sister swam in Indiana, your twin sister now, swims with you at Mizzou. Just tell me a little bit about growing up in such a swim family. I'm sure you said you guys didn't talk about swimming a lot, but I have to imagine you guys were fairly competitive
Oh
in
yeah. Oh
general.
yeah. Definitely. I'm probably, I don't know. I don't want to like toot my own horn, but I'm probably the most like intense and like competitive when it comes when it comes to our family. Like we'll play board games. Oh, let me start. So we're like kind of a combined family. I have my two sisters, Bailey, who swims at IU, like you said, and CJ, who swims here at Mizzou, and then I have two stepsisters,
Mhm.
and one of them, Hadley, swims at a super small school in the mountains called Western in Gunnison, Colorado. And then my other stepsister, Jaden, swims at Sioux Falls. So five swimmers.
Dang.
So you can imagine the food. We had a lot of food. um, I'm definitely kind of the most competitive. We'll play like board games or something, and I'm kind of a sore loser when it comes to board games. I'll get like really mad and like really like start yelling and stuff, and but definitely super super competitive. Everything's kind of a competition. Um, so I mean that's super fun, but again, like it didn't seem like we were all like swimmers growing up, like Hadley is really good at art and she loves skiing, and is way more passionate about like being in the mountains than I am, and like, and Jaden, like really got into like makeup for a little while there, so that was like her thing, and CJ and I are super similar, just always going out and doing random stuff, and then Bailey, just being Bailey. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, but growing up was incredible experience. We have so many good memories of just like messing around in the house and like having like random dance parties like in the kitchen, and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know if that's where I was supposed to go with that question, but
that was perfect. I mean, it sounds like a super competitive family that kept, like you have emphasized, a good balance of swimming and non-swimming fun,
mhm.
which sounds really cool. So I don't want to keep you too much longer to bring this full circle. Just
Yeah.
coming off of Invite, coming off of Thanksgiving. What are you looking forward to in these next couple weeks, couple months? Heading into what we hope is this NCAA postseason.
Mhm. Right now I'm just really looking forward to training, getting back into the pool, getting back into the weight room, we have such a great atmosphere, I think, at the pool and in the weight room on our team, and the coaches really invest a lot of time in each individual athlete, and like coming up with like the best plan for them and like talking to them, on a day-to-day basis and like figuring out like, oh, maybe we should start doing this. Maybe we'll like throw you into sprint group, like once a week. Or like, oh, maybe we need like after Invite, maybe we need to like up it a little bit in the aerobic capacity and like throw you in like a distance practice once a week, and that's totally like on an individual basis. So I actually just talked to Andrew like yesterday, and we were talking about kind of like the plan for the rest of the season. And right now it's just like full training ahead, and I'm like super excited for that. I love the weight room and just getting in there and like getting to lift heavy, because taper, like you don't lift like super heavy, and I love just like getting broken down and like seeing how much you can throw on the bar. That's one of the fun things this year. Ben and I have started to like push the weight a lot more, which I'm really excited to get back into that. So yeah.
Nice. Danny, I appreciate you taking the time to sit down and talk with me a little bit. Any parting thoughts before we sign off?
Not really, no. Just have fun. And I just really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me and being on this podcast. Hopefully I've said okay things. Not too certain. It wasn't really that much about swimming, so I apologize for that. But I've really enjoyed this conversation. So.
You've been listening to the SwimSwam podcast. Stay tuned for new episodes every week. You can take SwimSwam podcast on the go by subscribing on your favorite podcast platform. Look for links in the description below, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos as well.